The story I want to share with you today is not about superheroes, it's not about billionaires, and it's not about people who were handed opportunities on a silver platter. It's about an ordinary man with an ordinary life, who decided one day that he wasn't going to settle for ordinary anymore. His name was Daniel. Daniel grew up in a quiet town, the kind of place where people lived their lives on repeat. Wake up, work, sleep, and do it all over again. Nothing ever changed, and for most people, that was fine. But for Daniel, it wasn't. Deep down, he carried a dream he never dared to share. He wanted to climb the tallest mountain in the country, a peak so intimidating that most people only admired it from a distance. It was covered in snow year-round, with jagged cliffs that swallowed climbers whole. Locals called it the mountain that couldn't be climbed. Daniel didn't want to climb it for fame, or for records, or even to prove people wrong. He wanted to climb it for one reason, to prove to himself that he could. But here's the thing about dreams, they sound beautiful in your head, but the moment you take the first step, reality shows up. Daniel had never climbed before. He didn't have the right gear, the right body, or the right knowledge. The first time he tried, he didn't even make it out of town before people laughed at him. "You," they said. "You can't even run a mile without getting tired. You think you can climb that?" He walked away embarrassed, but that night something inside him shifted. He realized that if he quit now, he would spend the rest of his life haunted by the what-if. And so, he made himself a promise: "I don't know how, I don't know when, but I will climb that mountain." The next morning, he began training. And let me tell you, it was ugly. His legs burned after 5 minutes of running. His arms shook after 3 push-ups. He would collapse on the grass, chest heaving, staring up at the sky, feeling foolish. Every fiber of his body screamed, "Quit, this isn't for you." But he didn't quit. He got up. Again and again. Weeks passed. Then months. The weight started to fall off. His lungs grew stronger. His hands grew rough with calluses from ropes and rocks. Every day, he became a little better than the day before. But progress is never a straight line. One day, while training on a smaller mountain, Daniel slipped on a patch of ice and tore a ligament in his knee. The doctor told him he'd need months to recover. "Maybe this is a sign," the doctor said. "Maybe you're not meant for this." And for the first time, Daniel believed it. He sat in his room for weeks, staring at the crutches by his bed, feeling defeated. He thought of all the people who laughed at him. He thought of how ridiculous it was to chase something so impossible. He was ready to give up. But then, something small happened that changed everything. His little niece, only 6 years old, came to visit. She asked him why he wasn't training anymore. He laughed sadly and said, "Uncle can't climb mountains, sweetheart." She looked at him with big, innocent eyes and said, "But you told me you were going to." "I believe you can." That one sentence broke him. A child had more belief in him than he had in himself. And in that moment, Daniel realized, belief isn't about proof. It's about choice. You don't climb a mountain because you know you can, you climb it because you've decided you will. With crutches, with pain, with doubt still gnawing at him, Daniel went back to training. Slowly at first. One step at a time. Some days, progress felt invisible. But day by day, he healed. Day by day, he grew stronger. Finally, after years of preparation, the day came. Daniel stood at the base of the mountain that couldn't be climbed. His backpack was heavy, his gear ready, and his heart racing. He looked up at the snow-capped peak disappearing into the clouds, and for a moment, fear almost crushed him. But then he remembered why he was here. Not to prove others wrong, but to prove himself right. The climb was brutal. The air thinned as he rose higher. His legs ached. His fingers froze. More than once, he wanted to turn back. More than once, he thought about giving up. But every time the voice of doubt whispered, he heard another voice, his niece's voice, saying, "I believe you can." One night, caught in a storm halfway up, Daniel nearly lost everything. The wind howled, the snow blinded him, and he thought, this is it. This is where it ends. He clung to the side of the mountain, shivering, praying, crying. But then he remembered the promise he made to himself years ago, "I will climb that mountain." And promises, he decided, are not meant to be broken. Step by step, hour by hour, day by day, he climbed. Until finally, after what felt like a lifetime, Daniel reached the summit. He stood at the top of the mountain, above the clouds, the sun rising in a sea of gold and crimson. Tears froze on his face as he looked out at the world stretched before him. For a long time, he said nothing. He just breathed. For the first time in his life, he truly breathed. And then he laughed. Not because he conquered the mountain, but because he conquered himself. The truth is, the mountain was never the enemy. The enemy was the voice that said, "You can't." The enemy was the doubt, the fear, the hesitation. And once he silenced that, the climb became possible. Daniel's story is not just about climbing a mountain. It's about life. Every single one of us has our own mountain. For some, it's starting a business. For others, it's overcoming addiction, fixing a broken relationship, chasing a dream people laugh at. The mountain looks different for everyone, but the challenge is the same. Here's the lesson Daniel left us with: you don't wait until you feel ready. You don't wait until you're fearless. You don't wait until the path is clear. You take the first step while you're still afraid. You climb while you're still shaking. You move forward while your mind screams to turn back. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward in spite of it. And maybe your mountain seems impossible. Maybe everyone tells you it can't be done. But remember this: the only thing separating the person at the bottom from the person at the top is that one of them kept climbing. So I ask you today, what's your mountain? What's the thing you've been dreaming of but holding back from because it feels too big, too far, too impossible? Don't wait. Don't quit. Don't listen to the voices that laugh at you. Take the first step. And then another. And then another. Because one day, you'll stand at your own summit, look back at how far you've come, and realize the truth. The mountain was never too big. It was you who decided to keep climbing. And that decision can change everything.